My sister got the house after Dad died. I got a trunk in the attic and a photo that made everything unravel. She got the house. My childhood home. The one with the creaky porch swing and the stained glass window my mom picked out before she passed. It went to my little sister. And I didn't even find out until after the funeral. We were all sitting in the lawyer's office, stale coffee, heavy silence, and when he read the will, I swear I forgot how to breathe. To my daughter, Lily, I leave the family home. My name wasn't even mentioned until the second page. Some vague trust fund nonsense that wouldn't touch the down payment on a new place. My name's Alex. I'm 34, work in tech, single, no kids. I moved 2 states away after Dad remarried, but I still called once a week. I came home for every holiday, every surgery, every crisis. Lily's 25, a yoga instructor, vegan, and apparently Dad's favorite. I always thought she'd outgrow the phase where she guilt-tripped everyone for not recycling properly or burning sage in every room. Apparently not. What made it worse was how calm she was. Like she knew. No shock. No, are you okay? Just a soft smile, and it's what Dad would have wanted. I spent the rest of the day pretending I wasn't about to explode. That night I stayed in my old room, the one with the peeling Led Zeppelin poster and the bed that creaked if you breathed too hard. I barely slept. My head wouldn't shut up. I kept thinking, why her? Why only her? So, around 3 a.m. I got up. The house was dead quiet. I remembered the attic, the place Dad always said was off limits. Just old junk, he'd say. Nothing worth digging through. But the lock was gone now. And something told me. I needed to look. I pulled down the ladder, careful not to wake Lily. Dust flew up as I climbed. The attic hadn't changed much: boxes, old furniture, a dollhouse missing its roof. Then I saw the trunk. It was shoved against the far wall. Same leather straps, same brass lock I remembered as a kid. But this time, the latch was broken. I opened it. Inside, on top of old papers and yellowed photo albums, was a single photo. Glossy. Newer than the rest. It was Lily. Smiling. Standing next to our stepmom, Amanda. Only the date on the back said July 12, 2012. That was a full year before the divorce. A full year before Amanda left our dad because she couldn't deal with the distance. But there she was, holding Lily like family. Like they'd always known each other. Like they weren't supposed to be strangers, but something else entirely. I stared at that photo for what felt like an hour. My heart was pounding. My mouth went dry. What the hell had I just found? I ran my fingers over the photo like touching it would make it lie. Lily, arm around Amanda. Both grinning in that forced, too perfect way people do when they're trying to make something look natural. But it wasn't natural. It couldn't be. Because in July 2012, Amanda was still just Dad's coworker. That's what we were told. That's what he said every time I asked why he was working late. Why he kept going to conferences that didn't exist. Why Mom started crying in the laundry room when she thought no one could hear. I was 22. Away at college. I thought my little sister was still just a kid who played violin and drew stars on her bedroom ceiling. But this picture? It said something else entirely. I shoved the photo into my back pocket and started tearing through the trunk like a lunatic. Pages flying. Dust choking me. My fingers trembling with this weird mix of dread and adrenaline. There were more photos. Not many. Just 3. All with Lily. All with Amanda. Restaurants. A beach. One looked like a spa. Always Lily and Amanda. Never Dad. Never Mom. And then a letter. No envelope. Just folded once, clean. My name wasn't on it. It was from Amanda. Lily, I'm so proud of the progress you've made. You're more patient than he is, more grounded than she ever was. You're going to be okay. You were always meant for something bigger. No date. No address. Just that. My throat closed. Progress? Grounded? More than she ever was? Who the hell was Amanda to compare my mother to my little sister? I stuffed everything back into the trunk except the photo and the letter. I didn't know what I was going to do with them yet, only that I couldn't leave them there. When I climbed back down, I half expected to see Lily waiting. Arms crossed. That same smug little smile she wore at the lawyer's office. But the hallway was empty. Just the soft hum of the fridge downstairs. Back in my room, I sat on the floor, the photo in one hand, the letter in the other. My brain was screaming. My chest felt tight. My childhood home, the one Lily had just inherited, suddenly felt like a stranger's house. I didn't sleep. Instead, I waited. At breakfast, she breezed in wearing Dad's old flannel like it was hers now. She poured herself a green smoothie and scrolled through her phone like nothing had happened. So I said, voice steady, "How long have you known Amanda?" She froze. It was slight. Maybe half a second. But I caught it. She didn't even look up. What do you mean? She was our stepmom. You know when? I set the photo down on the table between us. She blinked. Didn't speak. Didn't touch it. Then finally, where did you find that? I didn't answer. Just waited. Her lips twitched. She exhaled through her nose. Then casually, too casually, she sipped her smoothie. She used to mentor me. Before the divorce. I didn't think it mattered. You were what, 15? 14, she corrected. We met at one of Dad's retreats. I needed guidance. Mom and I were not great. You kept it from me. She looked me dead in the eye. You never asked. That was it? Like I was the one out of line. I stood up so fast the chair screeched across the floor. My hands were shaking. Lily, were you seeing her before Mom and Dad split? She didn't answer. Did Mom know? Nothing. I could feel the blood draining from my face. Jesus, Lily. Did Dad know? Finally, she said it, and I'll never forget the way her voice dipped, soft, almost apologetic. He found out, eventually. Eventually. Like this wasn't a ticking bomb that detonated in the middle of our family. I walked out of the kitchen. Grabbed my coat. Needed air. Outside, the porch creaked under my weight, same as always. The yard looked the same. But I felt like I was seeing it all through someone else's eyes. How long had I been the outsider in my own family? That night, I couldn't stop replaying everything. Lily knew Amanda before the divorce. Lied about it. Let Dad change the will. Let me believe the house was still home. What else had she kept from me? The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I drove to Amanda's old place. She moved out of state years ago, but I remembered where she used to live during the split. I don't know what I was hoping for, clues, answers, maybe just the truth. The house was empty. For sale. Grass overgrown. But in the mailbox, behind a bunch of junk mail, I found something weird. A manila envelope. No postage. No return address. Just one word written on it. For Alex. My blood ran cold. For Alex. Black Sharpie. No postage. No seal. Just my name. I looked around, pure instinct, like someone might be watching. But the street was empty. Just a couple of trash bins and a realtor sign flapping in the wind. My hands were sweating. I opened it right there on the sidewalk. Inside was a single VHS tape. No label. No note. No explanation. I stood there holding that outdated chunk of plastic like it was a live grenade. It shouldn't have existed. Who even uses tapes anymore? But someone wanted me to see this. And someone knew I'd come looking. I drove back to Dad's house like a man possessed. Not home, not anymore, but still wired with the ghosts of every fight, every holiday, every lie that suddenly didn't feel so buried. Lily wasn't there. Her car was gone. Perfect. In the garage, I found Dad's old VCR covered in dust, but exactly where I remembered it. He used to tape everything. Home videos, football games, even random TV specials just in case. I hooked it up in the living room, heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. Pushed the tape in. Waited. It started with static. Then a jump cut. The screen flickered. And there she was. Amanda. Younger. But not by much. Hair pulled back. No makeup. Just her and a wood-paneled background I didn't recognize. She was sitting on a couch holding a glass of wine. Her voice was low. Shaky. If you're watching this, then I assume Richard is gone. Or someone found this. She paused. Then looked straight into the camera. I didn't mean for any of it to happen this way. My knees went weak. I sat. She took a breath. I met Richard at the firm in 2010. I wasn't supposed to fall for him. But you know how it goes, late nights, bad timing, and a lot of loneliness. He told me he was separated. That he and his wife were just keeping up appearances for the kids. I believed him. She closed her eyes for a second like the memory still stung. I didn't meet Lily until a year later. But when I did, I knew. The tape crackled. Knew what? I muttered. Amanda opened her eyes. She was his. Not biologically. But she belonged to him. That same quiet hunger. That same darkness. My skin crawled. What the hell did that mean? She started coming to see me at the clinic. We did counseling. She told me things about their home. About her mom. About Alex. She swallowed hard. About how invisible she felt. I froze. She said Alex never noticed anything. That he just left. That it was always her alone with the fighting, the crying, the silence. My face went cold. That wasn't true. Was it? Amanda looked down at her lap. I didn't know how much damage I was doing until it was too late. I wasn't just his affair. I became her escape. She started showing up even when we didn't have appointments. Started calling me Mom before the divorce was even official. Silence. She looked back up. If you're still watching this, Alex, I'm sorry. For your mother. For your father. But mostly for her. Because Lily never knew what it meant to have boundaries. And I wasn't strong enough to set any. I sat there frozen. She took one last sip of wine. She asked me once if she could come live with me. Said she hated your mom. Said she wanted to start over. I told her no. I told her she needed her family. And that's when she started pushing for the divorce. She nodded slowly like she was confirming it to herself. She turned Richard against his wife. Against you. It wasn't malicious. Not at first. It was survival. But by the time I realized what was happening, I wasn't in control anymore. She was. The tape went black. Just like that. No signature. No date. No explanation why it was in the mailbox or who left it there. I sat there for a long time staring at the blank screen, hearing only the software of the VCR. What Amanda had said, it didn't make sense, but it also explained everything. The will, the silence, the photo, the look in Lily's eyes when I showed it to her. Like she'd been holding something over me for years and finally stopped pretending otherwise. But what hit me hardest, what punched the breath right out of my chest, was that line. She said Alex never noticed anything. That was the moment I realized the person I thought I was, the good son, the one who tried, the one who held the family together after the divorce, maybe he didn't exist. Maybe I was blind. Maybe I did leave her behind. Or maybe I was just another pawn in a game I didn't know I was playing. When Lily came home, I was still on the couch. Tape rewound. VCR humming. She saw it immediately. What's that? Something you should have told me years ago. Her eyes locked on mine. She didn't ask what I meant. She knew. I'm not sorry, she said quietly. You left. She didn't. I stood. You manipulated Dad. Amanda. The will, Dad made the choices. Amanda made hers. I was just a kid who didn't want to be invisible anymore. Her voice didn't shake, but mine did. You lied to all of us. She stepped forward. No. I just stopped pretending. That's the difference. And then, without blinking, she turned and walked upstairs. Like none of it mattered. Like the truth had already been priced in. See, I didn't sleep that night. Again. I sat in the living room staring at the black TV screen, the rewound tape still humming inside the VCR. Like it was begging me to watch again. Like some part of me didn't believe what I'd seen. Amanda's face. Her voice. That apology that wasn't really an apology. She became her escape. Lily had manipulated them both. And maybe in her own twisted way she thought that was survival. Maybe it was. But it didn't change the fact that she'd burned the rest of us down to do it. And I let it happen. I kept thinking about what Amanda said. She said Alex never noticed anything. That line wouldn't leave me alone. Like a splinter behind the eye. Because the more I sat with it, the more I realized she was right. I'd been gone when things got bad. I called. I visited. But I wasn't there. Lily was 15. Our mom was breaking. Dad was disappearing into another woman's shadow. And me? I was off chasing internships, drinking cheap whiskey, pretending I was finally free of the mess. But Lily was still in it. And she remembered. Every ignored call. Every fight I hung up on. Every time I didn't ask what was really happening. She didn't forget. And now here we were. Two grown siblings trapped in a house full of ghosts, one holding the keys, the other holding the truth. The next day, I called the lawyer. I asked for a copy of the full will. Not just the summary. I wanted everything. When it arrived, I spread the papers across Dad's old desk. Pages of legal language, assets, clauses. All perfectly boring until I reached the appendix. There it was. A handwritten addendum. Leave the house to Lily. She understands what this home means. She has been here. She has stayed. Stayed. Like it was a test I failed. No mention of me. No explanation. Just that word. Like it was supposed to be enough. I almost laughed. Almost. Because now it all made sense. Amanda left. Mom broke. Dad rewrote history. And Lily? She stayed. She fed him stories. Painted herself as the caretaker. The loyal one. And maybe she was. But she also made sure I became the villain in their version. I started digging deeper. Old journals. Emails. Dad's paperwork. And that's when I found it. An email exchange between Dad and Amanda. Dated 3 months before the divorce. Subject line, about Lily. I opened it. Dad had written. She says you've been helping her more than we have. I don't know what to do. Melissa's convinced you're trying to turn her against us. But Lily seems calmer now. More focused. It's hard to argue with that. Amanda's reply. I'm not turning her against anyone. I'm just giving her a safe place to land. She's not the problem. She's the mirror. You and Melissa have to decide if you're ready to see what she's reflecting. I just sat there. That was it. That was the fracture point. Right there. Amanda didn't seduce my father. She seduced the version of him that wanted to escape the wreckage. And Lily lit the match. And me? I wasn't even part of the conversation. I closed the laptop. I couldn't take it anymore. That night, I waited until Lily was in her room. Then I packed a box. The photo. The VHS. The letter. The emails. Everything. I knocked once. She didn't answer. So I opened the door. She was sitting cross-legged on her bed, incense burning, reading something on her iPad like we weren't living in the ruins of our family. She didn't even look up. "You were right," I said. That got her attention. She glanced at me, wary. "About what?" "I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. You were alone and I wasn't here." She blinked, said nothing. I stepped in, placed the box on her desk. "But you need to understand something. Being invisible doesn't give you the right to rewrite reality." She scoffed, but I cut her off. "You turned Amanda into your savior. You turned Dad against Mom. You let him erase her. And you let him erase me. But you can't hold onto a house built on that kind of rot and call it peace." She looked at the box. "What's that?" "Proof. Of who we were. Who you were. In case you ever want to remember the truth instead of whatever version makes you feel safest." Still, she said nothing. "Do what you want with it. Burn it. Watch it. I don't care. But I'm done pretending this place means something it doesn't." I walked out. Her voice stopped me at the door. "I was a kid," she said quietly. I turned. "So was I replied. Then I left. Not just the room. Not just the house. I left for good. I didn't go far. Checked into a dingy motel off the highway. One of those places where the ice machine doesn't work and the walls smell like mildew and cigarettes. But it was quiet. It was mine. I turned off my phone. Didn't want to see if Lily texted. Didn't want to hope she had. I spent the next few days drifting, eating gas station food, driving without a destination, walking through neighborhoods I'd never lived in. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I just unraveled. Like whatever version of me existed back in that house had finally dissolved into nothing. 3 days later, I got an email from the realtor. Not mine, Dad's. I'd found her info in the paperwork when I was digging through the will. She'd helped him prepare for end-of-life estate stuff, according to a memo. The subject line stopped me cold. Interest in listing the property? Inside was a message from Lily. Forwarded. She was asking about putting the house on the market. I stared at it for a long time. She got the house. Fought for it. Was willing to lie, manipulate, smile through a funeral to keep it. And now she wanted to sell it? I called the realtor. She sounded surprised. "Oh, hi, Alex. I didn't expect to hear from you. Lily said you'd moved on." "Yeah," I said. "Seems like everyone has." She hesitated. "Did you want to put in an offer?" That question knocked the air out of me. "I'm sorry. She mentioned she might consider giving you the first shot before it goes on the market. Said you two had some kind of conversation." I hung up without answering. Later that night, I drove back. Not to talk, just to see. The porch light was on. The curtains were drawn. And outside, near the trash bins, was the box I gave her. Wide open. Soaked from the sprinklers. The photo? Warped. The letter? Gone. The VHS snapped in half. She didn't even burn it. She just threw it away. Like it never mattered. Like I never mattered. And that was it. The moment I felt something snap. Not rage. Not grief. Something colder. Something cleaner. I walked to the porch. Pulled out my key, still worked, and stepped inside. She wasn't home. The house was spotless. Minimal. Sanitized. Like she'd already begun staging it. The walls were bare. The couch replaced. The smell of paint and citrus cleaner hit me like a punch. She was erasing it. All of it. Erasing Dad. Amanda. Mom. Me. Like starting fresh meant pretending none of it happened. I walked to the fireplace. Sat down on the old brick hearth. This used to be the only warm place in the house. Where Mom would make cocoa. Where Dad would sit after work and pretend to be too tired to talk. Where Lily and I built pillow forts before we learned how to hate each other. And now? It was just a set piece. I sat there until I couldn't anymore. Then I stood up, walked out the front door, and didn't look back. The next morning, Lily called. First time since I'd left. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Alex, I don't know what you want from me. I thought maybe you'd want the house. But maybe you just wanted to be mad. That's fine. Just know I'm done pretending." She hung up without a goodbye. That night, I got a second voicemail. Shorter. Tighter. "You should come see it. One last time. No emotion. Just that. I don't know why I went. But I did." When I arrived, the front door was open. Lights off. The box was gone from the trash. The living room empty. Everything gone. And there, in the fireplace, a small pile of ash still glowing faint orange. I stepped closer. Something was still burning. Paper. Plastic. Wood. And something else. A photo. Not the one from the attic. A different one. The four of us. Mom, Dad, Lily, and me. At a state fair. I was maybe 10. Lily had cotton candy on her chin. Mom was still laughing. Dad still had hair. She burned it. Burned us. And that's when I saw it, scribbled in the soot on the hearth. Stay gone. That was her last message. Not the house, not the call, not the offer. That, stay gone. And you know what? I did. It's been 9 months. I never responded to the voicemail, never went back to the house. I don't know if she sold it. I don't care. At least that's what I keep telling myself. But every now and then, I'll catch myself looking it up. Zillow says it's under contract. The photos are new. No sign of us in them. No trace of what it used to be. Lily painted everything white. Like grief had a color and she picked the one that erases everything. That tracks. She always wanted clean slates. A world where nothing sticky clung to her. Not the guilt, not the lies, not even me. And me? I started over. Small apartment, clean walls, no attic. I changed cities, changed jobs. I stopped calling it Dad's house in my head. Stopped calling Lily my sister when I talk to new people. Sometimes I lie and say I'm an only child. It's easier that way. Because when I tell the truth that I had a sister and we lost our parents and somehow the worst part came after, people get this look. Like they want to ask, what happened? But I never have a short answer. What happened? She stayed. I left. She saw something broken and thought if she held it close enough, it would love her back. I saw something broken and ran the other way. And neither of us ever really forgave the other for that. We weren't enemies. Not really. We were survivors of the same fire, screaming at each other for being wet. I still have the warped photo. The one from the attic. It's faded now, curled at the edges, but I keep it in a drawer. Not to remember her. Not even to remember them. To remember me, who I was before the will, before Amanda, before all the silence got too loud to ignore. There's this moment I keep coming back to. The night I left for the last time. I stood on the porch and looked back at the house. That creaky, memory-stuffed, bleeding heart house. And I didn't feel sadness. I felt relief, because I finally understood something. Not everything broken is yours to fix. Not every door is meant to stay open. Not every sister stays family forever. Lily chose the story she could survive. So did I. She stayed. I stayed gone. And somehow, that's the closest we'll ever come to peace.